Hello, here with Armando Hernandez from Hernandez & Company, who is our tax advisor for foreign investors. Hi, Armando.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, and you? Armando, I would like to ask you, when a buyer comes to us to find a property, they ask me, what is the best way, to buy the property under their name, under a corporation? Can you please tell me?
Yeah. Well, we get the same question, and it's basically when you have a foreign investor coming into the U.S., they have different ways to own the property. And basically, it's not a simple answer because we go through a process to see which one is the best for the client so they minimize their taxes. And in many cases, we see clients that they buy it under the personal name. They go and title the property under the personal name. And they do it for different reasons. One of the reasons they do it under the personal name is because they don't know that they can form a corporation and buy the property under the corporate name. Sometimes they do it because it is the only way that they can get a mortgage on the property if they want to finance the property. Many banks require that you buy it under your personal name if you want to obtain a mortgage on the purchase of the property. But they can buy it under the personal name, they can buy it on the corporate name, they can buy it on the limited liability company, they can buy it under a partnership, or usually we see a lot of the structures, but one of the structures that we see is a U.S. corporation owned by a foreign corporation, and they do it for state taxes. But there are different ways that and I think there is now one solution for every client. Every client should go and talk to their advisors, to their accountants, attorneys. We have really good attorneys in Miami that they can structure the transaction in a way that they will not pay so much taxes and they will minimize the risk of owning the property.
What is the corporation most recommended to foreign investors?
It depends. I mean, like I was telling you, like we see a lot of clients that they own the property under a regular corporation or limited liability company. Most people use limited liability companies. And usually they own the limited liability company personally, or they own the limited liability through a foreign corporation.
Okay. Armando, once they buy the property, they're concerned about the taxes, if they have to pay taxes or not. What would be the taxes that they will have to pay?
Well, like in any other country, we have many taxes in this country. And yes, they do have to pay taxes in the investment. Once they buy the property, whether they buy it at the personal level, I mean they buy it under the personal name, or they buy it under a corporation, because they have a property in the U.S., it's considered that they have a trade of business in the U.S. And because they have business in the U.S. and they have U.S. source of income, they have to pay taxes. And one of the taxes is the income tax, which is the income that they're going to be earning. So if they rent in the property for $2,000 and which will be $24,000 a year, and if they have $20,000 in expenses, they have $4,000 of income in the property, they're going to pay about 15%. So it will be about $600 in $4,000 income. If it's $100,000, the bracket will go up and they will pay about like 20 to 30% on the net income. That's one of the taxes. We have the other tax is capital gain taxes. In the capital gain taxes is the difference between the cost, or what you found the property that they bought it for $200,000, and now they can sell it for $300,000. So the $100,000 they have to pay taxes. And usually, if they buy it under the personal name, it's 15%. If they buy it in a corporation, it's a rate. The more capital gain, the more you're going to pay in a corporation. So it's about 15, 20, it goes all the way to 35%. Another tax that we have is estate taxes, and this is one of the most like tax. One of the taxes that people get like really frustrated and get like they don't understand why they have to pay taxes in the U.S. if they own a property in the U.S. and they die. And basically the estate tax is really, some people think that it's unfair because they may, they come in with money that they already earned in their country, they pay taxes, and now they buy a property here, let's say for $1 million, and they die. They have to pay, this year, the year 2012 is 35%, We are projecting that, if the law, they don't do any changes to the law or anything, next year will be about 55%. So it's really high, and that's an income tax that you have to plan so you will not pay it. The other tax, and it's not like a tax, it's like an estimated tax, is FERTA. And this is a question that you probably get from many of the investors, is when they're going to sell, if they own the property at the personal level, there is a 10% withholding, and the withholding is on the gross selling price, not on the net income. If they selling the property for $1 million, there is a 10% on the gross selling price, which is $100,000.
Okay.
Basically, the FERTA, there are many things that you can do, but those are the main taxes that you have to pay.
Armando, can you please explain to us how can we minimize the income tax?
The income tax, and I mean, for a real estate property, usually the income tax is not one of the taxes that we have to worry, because you pay taxes on the net income that generates the investment. So if you invest in a property that is generating about 4 or 5%, and you invest, like, let's say $500,000, the income is minimal, but the law allow you to deduct many expenses. And if you have a good accountant and you have somebody that will keep track of the expenses, you will be able to minimize those, the income of the company, and pay less taxes. But also you can take depreciation, and depreciation is not an expense. Is the law allow you, like if you pay $1 million for a property, the law allow you to take a portion every year against the income, so you will not pay taxes. And those are the ways that you can minimize the income tax.
Okay, what about the state tax?
Well, for the state taxes, and we recommend that if you have a client and the client is buying a property that is more than $300,000, that they will not do it. They will not buy the property unless they sit down with a tax attorney, a CPA, and they find the best way to do it, because there are different ways where you can minimize the income tax, the state taxes, or you can set it up in a way that you will not pay any estate taxes. And this is something. This is like, we have really good professionals in Miami, good international tax attorneys, good CPAs that can help you in selecting the best entity for the investment, so you minimize those taxes.
Okay, and one is the FERTA that my clients always ask about, and it's very hard for them to understand. Can you please explain that to us?
Okay, FERTA, it was a law that was passed in the 80s, and it's because we had many investors coming, like today. For a year, we have many investors coming into the U.S. to buy real estate properties. When they come to the U.S., they used to buy, and they will sell the property, take the money home, and not pay any taxes. So what the government did was, they said, well, in order to make sure that you pay your taxes, we're gonna impose now some obligations on the person doing the closing, and in this case, is most of the time is the attorney. The attorney doing the closing has the obligation to retain, withhold. There is a withholding requirement of 10% of the value of the property. And this is not an income tax, this is an withholding, an estimated payment. Basically, what the government is saying is, we're going to take 10% from the sales of the property, and you're selling a property for $1 million, so we're going to take $100,000. So when you file your taxes, if you only owe $10,000, we're going to give you back the $90,000. So it's not an income tax. It's a withholding requirement, and the lawyer or the title company that is doing the closing is obligated to retain to withhold the 10%.
Okay, and how long it will take to get that money back?
Usually, what you can do, you can request a withholding certificate, which is before you do the closing. You request, you send the request to the government. It's a form that you have to file, basically saying how much is the true income and how much the taxes will be, with proof. You have to prove to the government, I'm going to have a little gain or no gain on the sales of the property, hopefully will be a large gain. And the taxes will be, let's say, $10,000, and the withholding was $100,000. So the government will give you in this case, if you ask for the certificate, the attorney will give you the $90,000 and send the $10,000 to the government. But if you send the money, the withholding, to the government, you have to file an income tax the following year of the closing. So if you sell in the year 2012, In the year 2013, you file your income tax and you request the money back. And most of the time, I will say like you will get your money. People are worried that if they send the money, they will not get the money. But the government of the U.S. will honor and will give you your money. And the reason we do it is to honor foreign, to promote like foreign investment in the U.S.
Okay, great. Armando, I have many clients that their lawyers and advisors recommended to buy their properties under U.S. corporation owned by foreign corporation. Why?
Usually the reason, I mean, this is one way to minimize the state taxes. And the reason they do it is because if you own let's say you go and buy a real estate property under a U.S. corporation or a Florida corporation here in Florida, if the foreign investor is the owner of the U.S. corporation, there will be estate taxes. It will be the same as if the foreign investor will own the property under the personal name. It will, for estate taxes, is the same. So what the attorneys and many advisors are recommending is you form a corporation in another country. It can be in their country where they're coming from. If somebody's from Venezuela, they can have a corporation in Venezuela. If somebody's from Mexico, it can be a corporation in Mexico. And the corporation will be the owner of the U.S. corporation. What you're doing is that you have now a corporation that will never die. So since the corporation will never die, there will be no estate taxes. And that is the main reason why they have a two-tier structure, a two-tier corporate structure to minimize the estate taxes.
Great. And let me ask you something. Will this give them more privacy in terms of...
When it comes to privacy, and basically what it does is if you go to the internet today, there is not that much privacy, and people are concerned about kidnapping and problems in the back home. So what you have is many people using this structure also not to show who owns the corporation in reality. So what they do is they form a limited liability company where the registered agent is the attorney, and then the owner is the foreign corporation. Basically the name is not in any public records or anything, but they own 100% of the corporation.
Great. Okay, once my client decided to sell the property, how can they take the money back with, to their country?
Well, most of the investors that we work with are really concerned about what do I do with the corporation once we sell the property? What do I do with the money inside the corporation? Can I take it back home? Can I put it under my personal name? Do I have to pay any additional taxes? And basically the way the system in the U.S. works is set up in such a way that it's easy for foreign investors to come and invest here, and that's what the government wants. We want foreign investment to come into the U.S. and there is no restriction. You can once you finish that you sold the property, you pay the taxes, it's your money, is the investor's money. So they can take the money back home. They can put it under the personal name here. There is no additional taxes. Okay. The only expense will be probably the charge by the bank for the wire transfer, but there are no restrictions. You can liquidate the company. Upon liquidation of the U.S. corporation, the people can take their money, and they will not be paying additional taxes or anything after paying the taxes that we talked before. So they will be able to take the money and they don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, great. Thank you, Armando, so much for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
And remember, if you have any questions, please visit our website, and Armando will be happy to answer any question that you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.